computer. I'll do that. Okay. Hey, you guys. Good to be here today.
Hi.
I'm Angie Matheson, the Executive Director of United Way of Charlotte County, and we are recording this program today on behalf of Women United of United Way of Charlotte County for our Kids Thrive Circle of Parents, as well as our Charlotte County Reads families. We the vision for the evening, a while back, we were talking with some of the Circle of Parents moms, and we've asked, what are some of the things that we can share, experiences that we've had, things that we can offer in terms of wisdom, if you will. And one of the things that was suggested was some help with time management and goal setting. And so that's the purpose of today. But we want this to be interactive, to chime in and have fun. And Trisha will be monitoring our chat screen. So we will make sure, and if you have comments or questions that you'd like to provide on that, please do. I am having fun doing polls, or I'm learning how to do polls. So I did create a poll for us today. You ready? So you got to answer the question. What is your time management system that you're currently using? Now, I thought it was quite funny to put on.
Come up.
Oh, is it not showing?
No.
Huh. Oh, it says launch polling. See? There you go. At launch. So, the dominoes, things fall where they may. I thought that was pretty funny.
Can't see. I'm not seeing it. Am I?
Okay.
Does anyone else? Oh, there it is. I got it.
You got it?
I do.
So we've in the office been very curious about whether people are doing paper phone or, an app, things like that. And so it's good to see. So how many people do we have? We have, I don't know, 11 or 12. So we've got 5, 6, 7, 8.
13.
13. So you can kind of see, oh, the phone.
I wanted to click 2, but I could only click 1.
Okay. What would have been your 2, Sue?
Well, I'm paper because I'm old school, but I also am using my phone too. So, I have my double reminders.
And you didn't have sticky notes on the list, so I couldn't participate.
And I wish that I had thought of that. I should have totally thought of this.
That's a good one.
So yes, you can see that was just for some fun there. So the we also sent out some survey with some questions ahead of tonight, because we really wanted to get a sense of where the moms were in terms of what questions do you have about time management or goal setting, as well as what type of item would be most helpful, whether it was a journal or an actual calendar, that kind of thing. And one of the things, I'm just going to mention a couple of the themes, so that as we're talking tonight, that might lead our facilitators with, you might want to add some additional tips to this. Really needing tools and techniques. It's very clear that tools and techniques is really needed. How to make time for self-care. That was kind of overwhelming theme. So how do we make the time for self-care? Time with our partners. And then goal setting can include also meal planning on a budget. And, really, honestly, a lot of these can be just a program in and of itself. There's so much content that you can almost create with that. And then one of the other overwhelming themes is, how do I balance time with my baby with cleaning the house? Like I can't clean the house. I can just, which one do I do? What do I take my time away from to do that? And I'll be honest, that's the and you guys, y'all can kind of chime in. Hopefully some of this is a validating thing, in the sense that we can all agree that I'm almost not sure there's ever resolved that conflict.
No.
It's kind of the ever.
My kids are out of the house and I still struggle with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just right off the bat. I mean, like so we'll talk some more about that today. I do want to start with this comment because it's stayed with me forever. I used to work with children with cancer and their families and for a long time. And the one thing that a mom said was, I used to be so focused on keeping the house clean and so focused on the housekeeping. And I just wish that I had not done that and I had spent time with my child. And it has stayed with me and stayed with me and stayed with me. And my husband likes a clean house, and I certainly didn't spend the amount of time that I wanted to with my daughter. And now she's 14. So it's something that you just have to balance and really kind of think through. But as we get into the meat of all of this, hopefully we can touch on all of these in some fashion for you. And so I would like to now introduce Tricia LaPointe. Transition it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening. As Angie said, I'm Tricia LaPointe. I'm the Director of Resource Development at United Way of Charlotte County. First, I'd like to thank our sponsors for this evening and this project for the spring. It's Bayfront Health, the Beavis Realty Group, and Right Way Emergency Services. So just want to give a shout out to them for their support. So I'm going to start the conversation on our time management preferences and some, I don't know if tips or just the way we do it. So Vicki and I get to start, as Angie said, we're the old schoolers, I guess, in the way that we like to do it. I prefer probably 95% of what I do is paper. I'm very much a list maker. We were joking about Vicki's Post-its. If I was at the office, you'd see a bunch of my Post-its also. I keep track of what my to-dos, both at home and at work, on a list. It very much keeps me organized as far as when I'm feeling overwhelmed with what I have to do with my tasks at work or at home, like Angie mentioned, cleaning the house or paying bills, whatever I have that I feel like I need to get done. If I write them all down, it very much takes that overwhelming feeling away from me, because as I get one thing done, I can cross it off, and it takes away that overwhelming feeling from me by just seeing it written down and then marking it off as I go and seeing what is done. And it helps me prioritize. And it really, just writing it down makes me just feel like, okay, it's really not that much, or I can do this first and get it away, get it off my list. So I'm very much visual and writing it down. And Vicki, feel free to chime in whenever you would like to. For scheduling, I like to see it on paper. I still have my paper calendar, which I completely prefer. I don't use my phone, but I know there's a lot of people that prefer that. I go in to Staples, TJ Maxx, I peruse what I like, what I'm feeling for that year. I absolutely love to see the whole week at one time. It helps me just set my week for set my schedule for the week. I use a pencil so that I can erase things. I keep my calendar. So I'll get my calendar for each year, probably like late October, November, so that I can look through the previous year for anything that might be the same for each year and transfer that over. From everything from birthdays to events that are going to carry over. And then I'll get rid of it like January, February, just to make sure I'm not missing anything. But that's me. On a phone, I feel like I can't see the whole week of what's happening at one time. So for paper, that really works best for me to be able to see the whole week. Vicki, I don't know if you want to share a little bit about what you like to do in your Post-it notes.
Well, my life used to feel like this when I was working and had kids at home. I felt like my life was like little stuff stuck all over. And I'm like, nah, this isn't going to work for me. So I came up with, when I had kids and I was working full time as a nurse, we had a calendar on the side of the refrigerator, and I hung 3 pencils up there, and each pencil was a different color for each child, so that whatever they had going on, whether it was a doctor's appointment or soccer practice or cheerleading practice, it was their color. So it made it a little bit easier for us to look at the week and know who was going to have to go here with this one and who was going to go to to that one. But what I found really interesting was that, because we called it our family list, as the kids got older, they remembered that list. And they said, Mom, you know what, that you thought that organized you? Oh, no, that helped us know that we had stuff to do. So, you know, we couldn't socialize and then my daughter, who was like the most organized person in her head, she ended up where she wrote on there, report due on this, report due on that. And my son would say, why are you putting that up there? I'm going to have to do it. And my stuff's never ready like yours is. So it was kind of like something that they kind of ended up really having fun to do that. And also, I think when you're working and you have events, like Tricia said, you know, she puts her events on her book, and I have one similar to hers. This is my journal of stuff to do, and it has little stickies in it that I can put for different occasions. I found that I would get stressed out because I'd say, oh, we're going to have a birthday party on such and such a day, and I'm working the day before. So what I started to do was make a list for that event when I saw it for the month, what day it was going to be, who I was going to invite, what we were going to have to eat, what games we were going to play. So then during the 2 weeks prior or the week before, I had an opportunity. Okay, I'm going to the grocery store today. Let me pick up stuff for the party today. It's a week before. Let me do this. So by the time the day came, I really felt like I could enjoy the day of the event instead of making myself crazy running around trying to get things organized. So with small children in the house, that worked for me. While I still work full-time, I'm the women and newborn coordinator here at Bayfront. So I love what I do. I spend a lot of time with new moms and families, and over the years have had support groups. So I've heard the comments that moms make, like, how can I do this? You know, it was so easy when the baby was inside. They went everywhere I went. I didn't have to worry about anything. And now here they are. And I have to prepare meals. I have to do this. I have a husband. I have other children. So it's not just for one person. I think in different times of your life, things become more prevalent. Like, I still work full time. I have a 97-year-old mom that lives with me, and I'm married, and I have 2 4-legged children at home now that require mom's attention when I come home. So I think, like Angie said, now for me is learning to balance what needs to get done at home and me time. And in order for me to be better at giving for what I need to give for during the work week, I need to re-nourish myself. So how do I do that? Well, for me, that's taking a bike ride. It's walking a couple evenings a week. You have to make time for yourself, moms, because being a mom is a very loving, demanding job. It's our work of love, but we can't be strong at that if we're not allowing ourselves to be who we need to be. And I know when I don't get that time to myself, I get cranky. So I kind of pencil that in on my calendar, that that's just time to improve myself, so I'm better for the people that I love. So I want to stress for you moms that whether the baby's napping, you're not going to get a report card from them that you flunked because you didn't make the bed that day or you didn't do the dishes. They don't really care about that. I have a daughter-in-law who has 5 children. We just had a new grandbaby. And if you went to her house, she would go, oh my gosh. I'll say to my granddaughter, can you go get that? She goes, well, it's in there somewhere, like in that room somewhere. But I'm telling you, those kids are so loved and have such a great day. And Aubrey is just goes with the flow. And once a week, the kids all get their little assignment to clean the house, but they're a happy family because they haven't put so much pressure on what needs to get done every day. So for me, struggling with time for me, but at work, I have 3 lists. You can ask my boss. I have the one that we must do. No choice. I have to see patients. I should do. That's stuff that other people think I should do. And then I have my list of, oh, well, if I get it done today, yay for me. And if I don't, it's going to next week. So girls, you need to be gentle on yourselves. You have an important part in your child's life, the best part of all. So if you can kind of learn to make a list to balance your days, that's not so overwhelming. You can take that list and break it down. And if you do that, you're going to see, oh, I don't need to get all that done today. I have tomorrow. I can move that to next week. And then that gives you time for your relationship with your significant other, because first you were single, then you were a couple, and now you're a parent. And those are all three different roles that we play as women. So if you can make time for those, even if it's a little bit of a date each week where you have a pizza and you sit out and you light the fire pit, that's time together for you guys, and that nurtures your whole family. So that's my wish for you, that after tonight, you'll look at your list and you'll go, up, we can do this. We'll just put some stickies here and make a list there, and we'll all be good. So I hope I gave you some helpful suggestions.
That's good. And Dawn uses something called Trello, and we have used it in our office as well. How many of you guys really appreciate like an app, or have like think that an app on your phone would be nice to use? Okay, so it's called what?
I would probably use an app if it was like designed for organizing your life.
Oh, if you, the thought of an app that's Trello is the thing. It's a free app and you can get deep in it. In fact, I have a link for a busy mom who created an example of how to use Trello with her kids. And if you remind me, Sue and Trisha, I'll get that link and send it to you guys because it's a good one. Hi, buddy.
You can access it on your computer as well, because we use it on the computer at work, but Dawn also uses it as an app on her phone personally.
And it is extremely easy to set up all kinds of work boards, if you will, and to access on the phone is extremely easy. So it's called Trello. And then the thing I was going to say, how many of you guys can feel when you're like haven't been doing the self-care and like you know that you need to have that time? I mean, raise the hands for everybody. Like I can feel it coming on. Like I cannot emphasize enough, and I think we can all agree that we are so much better people to everyone around us if we have time by ourselves.
And I think our family recognizes when we do that. My son used to say, Mom, you need to go to the gym.
Yeah. I mean,
he learned that.
I think sometimes I think that. Go
ahead.
Sorry. Diane is mentioning she uses, it's called Todoist. And then Liz, we still can't hear. She's adding in the chat that she would probably use it on the computer.
Okay. So I'm gonna show you what Trello looks like. So this is let me get right. Oh, wait, it might not work because I've got.
The background is stopping the phone from being seen.
Here, I'll switch it out. I wasn't sure if anybody was.
Pull it up on your computer and do a screen share.
Well, I was thinking I might do that.
He sees me.
So I've got a household cleaning one. I've got, we have a whole one with each of the staff has one. And so we're able to see, and we can put things on everybody's list. So
it lets you create boards.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they call them boards. So you can create, like we each have our own board at work, but then in that board, you can create, like I have the foundations and corporations I'm going to apply to. And so you could create like for each your kids, you could have a board, or you could have, what cleaning you have to do, or however you want to organize it. You could have different boards for it.
And then you can color code it. It's really, I actually really, really like it. I'm just going to show you what it looks like on the computer. And then, I just would definitely say that, there you go. See, it says Trello here. I'm not signed in, but boy, is it just amazing. And then, but Diane, you said you use something called Todoist.
Yeah, I have it on my computer and my phone, so it coordinates through both of it. And it's just a simple list, and you can go through it and it'll cross it out. I love that crossing out, when you're done and all of that. So it's pretty simple. You can organize it by categories and colors. So mine's color coded according to the subject and stuff like that. So you can play around with it like that. But it's similar to Trello, except it's just, well, they have now boards, so like Trello, so you can do it that way, but I just do it the straight list.
I'll do it list.
To do
Put it in the chat.
TODIST. And they have a
cool.
free one, but you can pay for it. But a free one is just, works just as well, for anybody.
Well, so I would say just do not ever feel bad about taking time for yourself, because it is the single best gift you can give to everyone.
I think sometimes I know in the past I've tried to think, okay, well, I need a whole hour to do something, and then you never can fit that in, or I need a whole half hour. But sometimes even if you take a 10-minute bathroom break or a 10-minute, with your mom, you can't always leave the house, or even pushing a stroller, you can look at nature, you can look at the clouds, you can take a walk and get some fresh air, but the baby might still be with you or will be with you. But there's just even 10-minute or 5-minute carve outs make a world of difference just to get that, just to breathe a minute and regroup.
So what we're going to do now is I'm going to introduce Kara Reynolds and Kelsey Betten Gruber. They are two busy moms with young children working full time. So we're going to have you guys share with us some tips on how do you manage being a busy mom, keeping your schedule and your calendar. I'll let you guys kind of both chime into that.
Kelsey, you want to go ahead and start?
I don't mind to start. So I, like Angie said, my name's Kelsey. I work full time. My husband works full time, and we have a son that is almost 2. So I just have 1 to manage. So Kara she has 3 to manage. So she's got more on her plate than I do. But even with 1, it is a lot of work to manage when I'm gone all day, my husband's gone all day, and then we have a nearly 2-year-old, which I'm sure I'm looking at the little babies with Chelsea and Jessica, and what that is like. It is like all consuming. Just the kid part alone is all consuming. So I would echo a bunch of the things that have already been said. I do a combo. I do kind of a hybrid. I keep lists for everything in like hard paper form. I'm a legal pad person, so I have legal pads all over my desk, and I make a list for everything at work, everything at home, and then I shorten them. So I'll do like this week at home, this week at work, and then I'll do like a sticky note of like, this has to happen today. And then I pare it down, because I think, Trisha, you said, when I'm thinking about all the things, it is so overwhelming. And then I don't even know what to tackle, because I just feel like all these things have to be done right now. And the truth is, they don't all have to be done right now, but until I break it out, I can't decipher in my mind what needs to happen right now and what can actually wait till next week. So I constantly make lists. I check off stuff. I switch out sticky notes with my daily list every day at work. But I also keep a virtual calendar, because at work we use Outlook for our email and our calendars. So I put everything on my Outlook calendar. So I don't keep a paper calendar because I have work deadlines, but I use one virtual calendar. If you have Outlook or if you have an iPhone, you can have multiple calendars for your different email accounts, but I can't keep like my personal calendar or my work calendar. So I just everything goes on my work calendar because that's what I stare at all day. So whatever the calendar is that you will probably see most often, I would just recommend putting everything on one, which, kind of stinks for, other people in the office that are going to see that I have to stop at the grocery store to get snacks for my son's daycare tomorrow. So he has something for his Easter gathering, but that's going on my work calendar because I'm going to see it all day and it's going to help me remember it. So I do one virtual calendar for my whole life. The other thing that really helps me is I'm a huge communicator with the other people in my village that help me keep things going, because it's me, it's my husband, it's my mom, it's my sister, it's my mother-in-law. I mean, it's like everyone that I can get to like help me manage the situation. And I'm very fortunate to have such a big village. And I know not everyone has that kind of support, but anyone that wants to give me support, I'll take it. And I communicate like probably more than I need to, but like every evening, my husband and I regroup and we look at our calendars and we're like, all right, what is tomorrow? Who's picking up Blake from school? We every single night we regroup, and then every morning we go over it again. Like, okay, today's Wednesday. That daycare on Wednesday, who's picking up dinner? Like, what are we making for dinner tonight? I mean, we literally talk through, we don't talk about our work day, but we talk about all of the personal details of who's managing the kid, what are we eating, how are we surviving the day. And one other kind of self-care, I guess, kind of related thing is I have found, as terrible as it is, that getting up before the rest of my family and getting myself ready for the day is the best thing I can do for myself. So I go to bed early when my son lets me. I go to bed early and I get up early. So I get up at 5 a.m., which is awful, but I do it because my husband leaves at like 6 o'clock for work. So I need to get myself ready and be like ready to tackle the day before my son starts his day. Because even on the weekends, if I wake up when he wakes up, I just feel disheveled like the whole day because I like didn't get a chance to like brush my teeth and put my contacts in before I had to go and get him out of his crib and deal with a screaming toddler, and I just don't feel ready for the day. So that's something I've had to just like from a maturity perspective, I've just had to kind of accept the fact that in order for me to feel my best, I have to get up before everyone. And then I can shower and get dressed and make myself feel like I'm ready for the day. And then when my son wakes up, I'm ready to deal with him instead of feeling like we're all jumping into the chaos at the same time. So it's a minor self-care thing for me, but it helps me mentally to ease into my day. And then I can think about what do I have to do today too. And I can just have me time to think through that without, because you can't think when you're managing a nearly 2-year-old. You're just like reacting to the situation. And then we do the same thing in the evening. So my son is fortunately a very good sleeper, so he goes to bed pretty early. So we consistently try to get him to bed around 7 o'clock as much as we can, which the downside of that is we have very little time with him because we have a little time in the morning and a little time in the evening, and we miss him all day. But if we can get to bed at 7, then my husband and I have a little bit of time to, again, just regroup together, talk about our days, plan out the next day, maybe just watch a little Netflix or do something mindless to just unwind and relax. And I find that those little times in the morning and in the evening are the only way I can really get any time to myself. And so I just feel like I'm very rigid about all of our schedules, but I feel like it helps us to block out time. This is the time we're with our son. This is when we're at work. This is when we're together. And we're just consistent with it as much as we can be. Not every day is the same. I mean, some days it's all out the window and we order pizza for dinner and we feel guilty about it later, but sometimes you're just surviving. And I think that's totally fine. Like Angie said, I think we all just have to give ourselves some grace because we're all just doing the best we can. At the end of the day, we're all just trying to keep everything afloat, keep the balls in the air, not let, everything be on fire at one time. So I try to give us grace too. And just at the end of the day, like you said, Angie, we try to focus on our son when we're with him because we already feel like we don't get enough time with him. And so, yes, my house will look messy and I will probably have ordered pizza instead of eating something healthy and all of those kind of things. But that's just, you have to do that sometimes to survive. So anyways, that's kind of what I do and how it works for me.
Well, I just want to say that listening to Kelsey and Vicki and Trisha and all these other ladies give their advice on how they manage their life makes me feel so inadequate because you guys, I mean, just, I'm like, yes, Vicky, keep talking to me. You're soothing me, making me feel good. So it's amazing to listen to other women and just, you know, their life tips, because it is not easy. I mean, I have 3 sons. I have an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 13-year-old. And watching the babies on the call, I'm trying to kind of put myself back into, okay, what was it like during that phase? Because I feel like every phase has its challenges with kids, when they're newborns, when they're toddlers, I have a teenager now, and holy cow, every day comes home from school and it's a new story. And I'm just like, what is happening? So, I mean, there's always a new set of challenges. And I think it's trying to develop new tools and strategies to make it through that phase of life. So I apologize. I'm in my car. One of my sons has a baseball game tonight. So I picked up my oldest from school. We grabbed dinner through a drive-through. We came here. I'm in the car. So my husband was supposed to pick up the kids today and he got stuck at work. So no matter how perfect a plan can be, like Kelsey said, things happen and your plan changes and you just have to roll with it. And, you know, it's okay if it's not perfect. And for me, that's been a bit of a challenge because I am a bit of a perfectionist. I don't like to do something if I can't do it exactly the way I want it to be done and 100% perfect. And my struggle has been to say, it's okay if it's not perfect. It's okay if, you know, your laundry isn't done. It's okay if the kids don't have the perfect lunch pack today. Like, there's all these things that I've had to allow, like Kelsey said, to give yourself some grace that, you know, it's all going to be all right at the end. Your kid's still going to be fed, and that's what matters. So one of my friends gave me advice many years ago, and it has stuck with me on my really hard days. And she said, if it's hard, that means you're doing it right. And so when I have those hard days, I remember, like, today was a hard day, but it's because I care about my kids. It's because I want them to know I love them. And sometimes showing that it takes a lot for me to do that. And it's hard. So I just want you guys to remember that if it's hard, it's because you're doing it right. You're giving it all you have to give. And that's what our kids want from us. They want to know that we love them and we care about them. And sometimes, you know, I think as parents or moms, we put ourselves second because of that. And so listening to Vicky talk about self-care, it reminds me that I need to do a better job of that too, that I need to take a little bit of time for myself. I enjoy taking a walk around my neighborhood, but I haven't done it in months because I'm stressed and I'm tired and I give excuses, but that makes me feel better. So I need to remember those things. You know, some basic tips that I try to, you know, do for myself is I try to grocery shop at the beginning of the week. I find I'm more motivated to cook meals earlier in the week than the later in the week. So if I have food and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get some chicken breast, I'm going to have some ground beef and some vegetables to go with it, I've got stuff to cook. But then, you know, like last night, my kids had chicken fingers and rice-a-roni, and it is what it is. You know, we had another baseball practice last night. So, you know, I would suggest, you know, grocery shopping at the beginning of the week if possible. I think having food on hand makes it more available for you to be able to do something for your kids or your family or yourself that way. Calendar wise, I have a virtual calendar. I use Google Calendar. I take my stuff from my Outlook, I put it into Google. I think many different things work for all different, you know, different times of our life. I used to have a paper calendar. Now I'm virtual. Maybe I'll go back to paper again. I don't know. So I think, you know, those were good tips from everybody else that had talked about it earlier. I would say, you know, one of the things I want to talk about is, you know, those perfect days. Like I said, I'm a perfectionist. I like a schedule. I like my kids to wake up every day at the same time and go to bed every night at the same time. And the reason that I started that when they were little, every night they went to bed at 6:45 when they were 1, 2, 3 years old. And I just finally allowed my 13-year-old to go to bed at 9:30. Like, I'm crazy when it comes to bedtime. But the reason for that was that time of night is the only time my husband and I have together. And so when my kids, if they're up till 11, we just lost all of our time together to kind of reflect on our day or reflect on what's going to happen, you know, tomorrow. So I would say another tip or piece of advice I would have is if you can set a bedtime for your kids and maybe stick to it, that has been wonderful for me and in my relationship with my husband. We've been married 15 years this upcoming May. And, you know, we've had our ups and downs and struggles, but that consistent every single night we have time to sit and talk and reflect, it has been huge for us. So I would suggest bedtimes if you can. But again, you know, tonight we're not going to get home from baseball till I don't know when. So bedtime kind of went out the window, but they know when they get home, it's bath and it's straight to bed. So I think those are my biggest pieces of advice I'd have to offer. So if there are any questions or any other thoughts, I'd be happy to answer any.
It's me. I have a brain condition that makes me really forgetful. Like, I'll walk in, my son will ask me for a drink, and I'll walk in the kitchen to get him a drink, And by the time I make it to the kitchen, I forget that he even asked for anything. So I have a lot of trouble finding a way to getting a schedule where he like that I can remember and stick to. And everyone's like, well, write it down. I forget that I was writing it down. So I don't even know to check something. Like I literally have to post it to my forehead to remind myself to look at it, because I would write it down somewhere. And then if I didn't look in that direction, I'm screwed because I don't remember that I wrote it down. So
I use the Siri remind me thing. Do you ever use the Siri remind me?
I like sometimes like my cousin will ask me to watch her kids, and I'll get a text that pops up on my phone that says, do you want to set a reminder? And I always do, but I don't know how to set it without that pop up telling me if I want to set it. So like I don't know where the app is or anything, because it just pops up on my phone. It's very convenient. And then
I'll show you at the next meeting.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Do it.
I use it all the time.
I
Yeah.
live by Siri. I'm like, hey Siri, remind me to pick up the bread at 4:00. I mean, like, hey Siri, remind me. I mean, I literally, and then, oh wait, so Siri's wanting to know what I'm reminding. She set that up for me. She set up a reminder for me right now. And so then it pops up on my screen and it stays there on the front of my screen, and at least for the most part during the day. Maybe Jessica, certainly when Sue shows you, it could be something that's particularly handy.
Yeah.
Liz, I'm looking here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to someone with the ladies with kids want to see if they can address Liz's concerns. I only have 4-legged kids, so.
About making yeah.
I was gonna say one thing, Liz. I only have one, and I hope to have a second at some point too. And I have the same concerns you do, and about how to make time for your older when you have a younger, and the schedule. So I can't answer that. I'm curious if anyone has advice on that for when it's my time for a second baby as well. But I would say we had the similar concern when we moved with my son about adjusting with his schedule, because sometimes there are just phases of life where you just can't keep the same schedule, whether you're moving or vacation or just life gets sort of crazy. And I found with my son that typically as soon as I can get him back onto his schedule, the better. I've definitely found that there is usually like a gap period of time when we've been off the schedule. It takes a few days to get back on the schedule, which are always the hardest days, because when you're on that schedule and they know what to expect and they're abiding by the routine, it's kind of like the machine keeps moving. But when they are off of that, for me, it just messes me all up. So I have found that just when we've moved a couple times since we've had my son, and I've just felt like the sooner I can get him back on the new schedule, even though you're going to have a fight. And honestly, I dreaded it because I knew it was going to be a fight and I didn't want to deal with it. But I feel like the longer they're out of it, for me, the harder it was. So the only advice I have, which is not much, is just I tried to get him back on the routine in the new setting as soon as possible. And surprisingly, he responded to a new environment really well. I was really nervous that now he's in a new room and he's not going to sleep anymore. And suddenly my whole schedule is thrown off. But little kids are so resilient. I know they say that all the time, but he didn't even really notice. It was like, oh, it's still my crib. Mom and dad are still there. It was okay. And I think a lot of what I worried about ultimately didn't end up happening because he just adjusted to the situation. So that's not much advice, but I've gone through what you've gone through and it's tough.
And I've noticed this. I have a single child. I have one child. So I haven't had the pleasure of having more than one to, have attention towards. But one thing I've noticed with other people is that they individually take time with each child. And so, having that singular focus on the one child, so you guys divide and conquer, you spend time with Otto and then Joe spends time with the baby, and then you switch, because it just gives them that singular focus. And I think that can be something that I just saw somebody who has 4 kids, and they took their one son you know, somewhere. And so that one son, you know, got that individual attention. And, you know, Kara, I don't know if you've noticed that too, like when you have time just with one of your kids, that they just soak it up.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. And I think my in-laws have started a tradition with the boys that when it's their birthday, they just take that birthday kid out for their birthday for dinner. And they look forward to that so much because it's just grandma and grandpa and that one-on-one special time. And we haven't done that as much as parents. You know, if we do, it's kind of by accident. Like, all right, you take those 2 kids here, and I'm going to take this one here. And it is nice though, because you do value that time where you get to just have that conversation that you haven't been able to have with them. I think, you know, Liz had the fear of, you know, I'm going to have 2. How do I make it special? It's amazing how you just do. You know, once another child comes into your life or a third child or whatever it may be, your heart grows, your ability to manage it and handle it grows. It's incredible to see growth in moms who have gone from 1 to 2 kids or even no kids to 1 kid, to see how you just figure it out. And I mean, you've all done it with 1, and I'm sure you'll be able to do it with 2. You figure out how to spend that time with them and how to give them all that love.
That's wonderful. Well, so we're going to move into the last segment of our section, and that would be talking a little bit about goal setting. And I'm going to start, and then Tracy's going to chime in with me here in just a minute. So one of the things that I've been working with, and my husband, we went on we had a vacation, and he said, we're going to do a family mission statement. And we were like, and he's like, we're not doing anything fun until we finish the mission statement. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, so we were at the beach, and I'm like, okay. So we did. It was like a little retreat. He called it a retreat. And so we did. We created our mission statement. And then we really kind of, it's segmented into a couple of different things. And so then we kind of pulled out pieces of the mission statement and then created kind of value statements around it. And, you know, what does it look like and how do I live that out? And so it's in my journal, and I have lived by, it's really just kind of an aspirational path, right? Like I don't, you know, live by making sure that I follow that mission statement directly all the time, but it's something that we as a family all agreed on. And it has been such a tremendous value to us. So we have it broken into 4 sections. I'm just gonna, so mine are, or ours are, excuse me, healthy living, spiritually connected, intellectually stimulated, relationally invested, and financially fit. So our mission statement really kind of builds all of those into it. And so then I plan in 90-day chunks. Now, some may not be able to do the 90-day planning, but it is absolutely, let's say you take a 30-day chunk, but they say that planning in chunks is really, really a great way to accomplish what you want to accomplish. And so you can divide it into categories, whether it's home, you know, child, you know, spouse, work, whatever those chunks, those segments are. And then for whatever chunk you decide, you write down what you want to accomplish. Does that make sense so far? And so it's something that I don't look at it every day, but I absolutely, because I do mine in 90 days, every couple of weeks, I'll look at it to see where I'm at. The next thing I do is I have, this is my planner, and it has a journal section, and then it has the weekly section, and then there's a top 3, or what are your top things that you want to do. And it took me a long time to find the right planner for me. And I keep my calendar on my phone and on my Outlook work. And so if I'm doing something personally, it goes right into my calendar the same way Kelsey said, everything goes into the same one. When I'm at work, it populates on my phone. And I live by that calendar so that I can at any time look at it to know exactly what I'm supposed to do today. And so then on Saturdays in the morning, I go and I write it down in my planner, what I have going on the next week. And then I write down what are the main things, the top 3 things I need to get accomplished this week that I'd like to work-wise and then personally. And then Saturdays and Sundays, I have my list of the thing that I want to accomplish, work, personally. And then I like to check them off. Got to check them off. So I had a busy list today and I was like, check, check, check. And so I was able to check the things off. And so scheduling the time and making the choices intentionally are the way that you can feel like you have control and power over your day-to-day world. And it is a game changer. I have not always been that way. I would say around the same time that we did the mission statement, I completed what I would call the 7 habits. What is it called? It's the 7 habits
Of highly effective people.
that 7 habits of highly effective people. So and Sue Seifert is a previous United Way board member, and she said, I would love to do some more stuff with the 7 habits, but it was a game changer for me taking the course. And some of the things that I've mentioned here were really things that I finally decided I would implement. And once I started implementing them, I really feel as though I am accomplishing the goals that I have set for myself and us personally as a family. So one of the other things that's really important to me, and how many journalers do we have in this group? Do we like to journal? And Tracy's going to talk about journaling, but in my planner, I do have finally got into the habit where I get up early and I have me time in the morning, and I do my time in the morning. And so I write, I have my little colored pens, and I write and just try to really reflect back on really the kind of person that I want to be. Now, in my mind, when I'm writing these things down, I think of my daughter. And when my parents died, I came across things that they wrote and the letters and the wishes and aspirations that they had for their life and for just various things. And so I find a lot of power in being able to write who I want to be to my husband, to my daughter, and in my workplace and in my community. So I write those things down. And I know that one day my daughter's going to pick up this book and she's going to read it. And so I have journals where I've kind of done the whole vent thing. And I do that. It's like a separate one. But I have the one where I really want to pour out. And it's literally like a letter to my daughter. And it's part of my planner. So I want her to see the skill sets that I've learned so that she can implement them one day. Does that make sense? And it drives me. It's something that now I can't let it go because now I've gotten so far. And so one day she's going to be curious, because when I read my dad's stuff, I was like, oh, I just want to read more. And so maybe she'll be interested in reading my stuff. I don't know, but I do think she will. And so I want her to learn from the words that I've written. And, and we are wanting to know what kind of a planner y'all want. And we have labored over this in the office to the point that we finally said,
A lot.
We need to know more from you guys what kind of a planner you want, because we want to find a planner. And so, or design one that you guys would like. So that has been something that we wanted to get your feedback on. So after we've had this conversation today, Sue can ask you guys, more questions, and we can kind of figure out what it looks like. And so there's a lot of ways you can play it. So Tracy, why don't we share some with us about your I'm gonna let you say what it's called.
Hi, my name is Tracy. I I am going to talk a little bit about bullet journaling, which the very name of that kind of freaked me out a little bit when I first heard it. Like, what is this? What's the point of this? But the beautiful thing about this type of journaling is it's also a planner. It's a goal setter. It's a way to track all of your to-do lists. So in an essence, I used to get really excited about having blank pages on my planner, but then I would either never fill it out because I'm a perfectionist. I needed to do it perfectly. I needed to list things perfectly. And so I got to a point where I'd start one, but I wouldn't finish it because I didn't like the way I was doing it. I just didn't feel like I was accomplishing things. I keep track of it in my head, but not on paper. So the really cool thing about bullet journaling is it helped with my anxiety. I really suffered a lot, and I'll be just open and honest about anxiety and about depression and needing to do things perfectly. So I have really found with this, you can take a graph paper, you can take just any cheap notebook if you don't know the kind of planner that you want. It's taken me years and years to find one that I like, that has how to track my moods, my sleep tracker, my food lists, my aspiration list, the quotes, the books I want to read. So the really cool thing about this is you can color code it, you can make a little key, and you can change it and adapt it to what fits you. There's not a one size fits all. So if you want to start with blank pages, you can keep track of all the movies that you want to watch. You can keep track of all the really cool self-care tips that you've received. And you can really start tracking all the little Post-it notes and all of these little things and put it in one spot until you find what works for you. Something that really has stuck with me is you learn just as much about what doesn't work for you and what you don't like is what you do like. Cross it off your list. If you've tried 10 different ways we've presented today on and they don't work for you, that's okay. You're going to find what works for you, but be willing to try those things. You're not a failure. You're just going to keep trying. You're going to keep adapting, as the moms here have all shared. There's not a one size fits all for all of your life. And I know I can get stuck with that, thinking I need to, my goals, my tasks, they need to not only be perfect, but they need to fit for always. And that's just not the way life works. So, start tracking what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Make the lists that give you comfort. Don't be afraid to cross things off. I personally write everything down. I don't mind keeping an electronic version, but I quickly adapt from that. I like to write, okay, how did this food make me feel? How did this situation make me feel? And then I journal about it, because once you write your feelings down, it helps put things in tune for you. And it's very, very healing. So I would really say, don't be afraid to try a blank page, fill it up. And if you don't like it, you can start over the next day. It's not like you're stuck with one planner, but you'll find what works for you. And then pretty soon you're writing down quotes and things that really help inspire you. And I think another thing that I just wanted to mention about journaling in general, especially in a healing process, is don't be afraid to write letters to people. They never have to see the letters. Be open and honest with yourself about it, but it really helps you process things sometimes too. And you can write letters to yourself, your future self, your past self, your current self, about your dreams and aspirations, and you'll learn a lot about yourself. So I think in essence, it's just the big takeaway is don't be afraid to try new things. None of us have it all figured out. We haven't arrived. Enjoy the process.
It's really, so let's hear from you guys. I mean, so you've mentioned, certainly there's different things that are working, and we will wrap up here in a few minutes to be respectful of everyone's time. And then Tricia put a note in, so there's the weekly calendar, there's a section for goal setting, and then there's a section for journaling. Like, what is it that would be the most beneficial for you guys as a group if we were to try to get something that would work to get for you guys and for the circle of parents? What it sounds like for sure the paper thing is going to be great. I think that you can dabble in the Trello and things like that, and certainly for some that may very much be a tool that works. What I have found, I'm just going to close on this too. There's a couple of I'm going to use the word mantra for lack of a better word, but these are 3 things that have stuck with me in different times, habits, I guess you could say, and then one's a question. So can you see this? So there's a book called Do the One Thing, or Do the One Thing. Do literally one thing at a time. And so until my one thing is done, everything else is a distraction. So I had multiple things on my list today, but I literally could only focus on one thing and get that done. And it was in that bucket, and I could give it all the attention that it needed, and then get that one thing done and move on to the next. And it really, it's actually so much better for our brains, for our anxiety, to just try to just put things in the boxes, do the one thing. If it's taking care of your child's food, get that ready, and then give them all the attention that they need, and then move on to the next one thing. And so, you can make lists and think in your mind, what are the one things? Now, eat the frog means do the hardest thing first. Get that frog, just get it done. Get the thing that is, and I try to teach my daughter that, and it just doesn't work. Still can't get that one in there, embedded in her. But eat the frog, do the thing that you have the most resistance, that's going to take the longest, because then you will feel like you've accomplished something. And then the last one was a plaque that was on my dad's office. When he died, we, of course, took some things. My husband said, I want that. And it's hanging in his office, my husband's. And it says, what would you do if you knew you could not fail? And so it's one of those things that when you're setting goals and you're setting things that you want to do for your life, what is that statement that's going to always carry you forward and really compel you to keep going, to set those goals, dream your dreams, and then utilize some of these techniques to do that, to accomplish it? Has this been helpful today?
Yeah. There were a lot of good ideas.
Good. What was your aha moment, Jessica?
Well, I didn't think much of it at the time, but when you were talking about having an event journal, but also having a journal that was almost like a letter to your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
My husband lost a lot of family, and it's really messed him up. But recently we came across his baby book, and he's not a sentimental person, but he was reading the baby book and like things his dad, who he lost, like thought about the pregnancy and about him being born. And it was something that he cried, like, and he doesn't cry easy. Mm-hmm. So it's like something like that. I didn't think anything of it at the time. Like, I thought it was sad and sweet, but like, I didn't think of anything like to do that. But like, because if I do a journal, most of it is probably venting. So separate one where it's, like a thing you want your family to see. That's a really good idea. I like that.
It really just changes like your whole, it actually makes me a lot more positive. Now, I still have the venting one, like it's there. And it's over here, but I've found now that I've when I write these things and they're intentionally thought, that one day my daughter will read these and she's going to want to remember, and think through, who I am, and she's going to learn from that. It really changes how you frame everything. So I'm glad that was helpful.
And because you keep it with your planner, you see the words you write a lot. And that I feel like that would be good, like motivation to get done and to put your family and your child first over things that you might like. To me, I'll think something is really important. It's got to get done because it's really, really important. And my husband will be like, no, come play with me and Junior. That's way more important. I'm like, no, we have to clean. It's very important.
Yeah.
And he's like, that can wait an your son can't. And so he will literally like make me stop what I think is important. But like, I think in 10 years, waiting an hour to put the dishwasher away would not have been as important as playing with Junior's toys with him, you know? So
Mhm. Absolutely. And Liz, I think we all wrestle with the not getting it done perfectly. I just don't know that regardless of anything, like we're all gonna wrestle with that. I mean, I hope that that's validating, that it's like, gosh, I wish I could say, you know, I've been able to do that where I felt like I've, you know, gone for a period of time. But when I plan and I intentionally know what I want to accomplish and I work the plan, I do feel like I'm more in control of my life, and I'm able to, you know, be who the person I want to be. Maybe a little bit closer to perfect, but not really. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like we have to have appropriate balanced expectations for ourselves. So you guys, we've a little bit over, but I think, you know, I just thoroughly enjoy this kind of a thing. And, you know, one of the things that we want to move into next is the summer. We want to do want to do a little bit of like a fashion show and a clothing thing, and maybe a pampering kind of day. Would you guys enjoy that?
oh yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so what we're still not done with this. So like, if you have other
Two
topics,
thumbs up and a yes with 2 exclamation points from Liz.
that's right. So there's you know, certainly if there's more topics around this that you guys want more information, certainly let us know, and we're going to circle back on the planner stuff. But we're definitely moving in. We're going to move into some other stuff too, that hopefully, you know, with the circle of parents, with all of you guys, and then Tracy with your families, we want to love on you guys and give you some resources that'll be, you know, really awesome. So always be letting us know how we can help you.
You guys are absolutely amazing. Like before joining the group and stuff, I can't really say I had heard of Women's United or United Way or really any of it, but like now I see the impact that you guys have on the community. It's really big.
Well, we're blessed to do the work that we do, that's for sure. And we're so blessed to have Sue.
Yeah, I'm blessed to be here. And I want to say hello to Brianne. We didn't get to say hello to her, but she's here. Hi, Brianne.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I was trying to wait for the right moment. I wanted to say hi to everybody because I haven't seen anybody in a while. I've been going through quite a bit, so.
I'm glad you're here.
Yes, I know. I finally figured out I got the right service. But I do the, like, as far as like the planners, I live off of the planners. I have to, like, I feel like that just keeps me organized, I guess. And I love like the whole idea of making them. That's really awesome. I really can't wait to see what comes out of that. And again, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely.
Zoom
Glad you're
thing.
here.
Yeah.
So glad.
It's
And
nice
we're gonna, Brianne, we'll have the recording of the whole thing because we've got some good stuff in the beginning. Vicky with her sticky notes and some good stuff. So we'll make sure you get the whole recording.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah.
It's hard with the whole service thing and Zoom. I suck at Zoom. So
But you did it. You did it tonight.
I did. I know. Well, I have a friend here that's helping me too. So
Okay.
I get the credit to her, really. But we were taking a walk and she was helping me. I'm like, yes, we finally found service. I had to connect to something. But yeah. And another thing on the journal, you were talking about journaling. I used to write to my son when he was a baby because I was just like, my kids are my life, my everything. I literally wake up for them. They're my they're my strength each and every day. I don't know. I couldn't imagine, I wouldn't want to imagine life without them. So but I used to write how, because like all that, even though it's good feelings, it gets bottled up. And you just don't know how to, it doesn't always have to be bad feelings. It can be so good feelings. And I have such, I love them so much that I try to do everything I can for them because I can't get it out. I think I'm going to try journaling because I feel like I can't express it enough. They're like, Mom, I know, so I think I want to try it. I always say I'm going to do it, but just to write little notes, I used to write to my son when he was a baby, each and everything that he did, like how it made me feel that day when he smiled, and going back and just me reading it.
Mm-hmm.
It made me feel, it reminded me of those little times of, I can only imagine, so I can only imagine what he's going to go through.
Mm-hmm.
But, and then like I said, a lot of things bottle up, and whether it's good or bad, it's bottling up. So just to even get it out. And I know, like I said, I always say I'm going to do it, but I really need to do it. So, but it just reminds me of what I need to start doing, and I really needed to hear that.
Oh, good.
I know I
Good.
missed a lot, but I do appreciate it so much. It was nice seeing you guys. I love
It
seeing
was
your
great
faces.
seeing you, Brianne.
Oh,
Thank you.
Call me.
I will. Miss you
Okay.
guys.
I
Miss you
just
too.
wanted to thank you guys. This has been wonderful to hear all the ideas. I'm pretty good at it, but then I'm like, oh my God, I haven't been doing that lately. So it was really good reminders, and
Yeah.
I needed to dust off some things. So thank you.
Oh, good. Well, you guys this has been fun and a wonderful afternoon to spend with you guys, and look forward to doing this again. I love this stuff. So, well, you guys take care. I know probably we have food to make and things to get off that list for the evening. And you guys just take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you all. This was great.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Nice seeing you
everybody.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.